Yes, good morning. This is Mark Nowitzki. I know it says I'm Jim Gilmartin, but he's unavailable, so I get to act in his stead this morning. We're waiting for one more participant, and we're just about ready to start here. So go ahead. If you have questions during the session, either raise your hand or go ahead and type it into chat. We'll ask it and we'll get you an answer. And if we can't get you an answer today, we will get back with you with an answer. Okay. Oh, that was fun. Yeah, you might have to bear with me a little bit. This is my first time doing a webinar. So everybody else on the screen is experts at it. I actually think I let Angela take over, but yes, good morning. It's Mark Nowitzki again. I'm the Chief Operating Officer. On the screen, you have Angela Fisher from Junior Achievement. You have Chris Patricca from the Lead District Schools. You have Gary Israel from the Estero Life magazine. And John Quinn is our Chief Financial Officer. Hopefully, we'll have Alan Bowditch come in. He's our Chief Communication Officers. So we've got a pretty full agenda today. We got time. We're going to take as much time as the speakers need and you all need for questions. Right around an hour, maybe a little bit more. This is our 206th ECCL meeting. Obviously, we've been around for a while. I've been around and active since about 2012. So our first speaker today is Chris Patricca. She is on the Lee County School Board, the Vice Chairman from District 3. She has professional experience, Florida Gulf Coast University, Adjunct Professor in the Justice Studies Department of the College of Arts and Sciences, Paraprofessional, Pinewoods Elementary School, full-time and Adjunct Professor, State University of New York, Staff Attorney, the ACO Company, a division of Goldman Sachs. She's got a Juris Doctor from Seton Hall University School of Law and a BA in Government, Clark University. Chris serves on several community organizations, including Swim Florida Board of Directors, Fort Myers Republican Women's Club, and Business People United for Political Action Committee. Chris resides in Estero with her husband, Tom, and 4 children. And she will update us on a pre-K to 8 school on Three Oaks Parkway and the district's proximity plan. Just to let you know, though, Chris is involved in the school. She's got a daughter, Patty, down at Dunbar. She's got a son at Fort Myers South, and she's got 2 more at Bonita High School. She's had kids in Three Oaks Middle, and she's had kids in Pinewoods Elementary. So not only is she on the board, she's been heavily involved. Go ahead, Chris, unmute yourself, and we're ready to roll.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate that intro. I want to do a little bit of background on the ECCL and the efforts I've made to involve you all in events that are occurring here in Estero. So you know that we are in the process of hiring a permanent superintendent, and a survey has gone out to the community looking for the top 10 characteristics, excuse me, that the community is looking for in a permanent superintendent. I did forward that to the ECCL, and I saw that the ECCL pushed that out to its membership. If you all could take some time to take the survey, put some real thought into it, and respond to the survey, that would be really fantastic. The more people we get involved in this process, the better. The second opportunity to be involved in the superintendent search comes in a forum. I have given the ECCL's name to the search company, which is Ray and Associates, and they will set up a forum for the ECCL, likely via Zoom, for you all to come in and give feedback, answer questions, and provide some feedback regarding what you're looking for in the permanent superintendent. The theme data will be taken from your forum and from other forums that are conducted throughout the county and provided to the board so that we will have a feel for what the wider community is looking for in a permanent superintendent. And finally, we will be putting together a naming committee for what we're calling Quadruple A, which is the pre-K through 8 school on Three Oaks. And I have asked that the ECCL, a member of the ECCL, sit on that committee. So Mark or someone else, if you don't hear about that superintendent forum and or the naming committee, please let me know. But I think it's important for you all to be engaged in these processes because they certainly have a tremendous impact on Estero specifically. So I'm going to move on to share my screen and show you a presentation that was given recently, if I can figure out how to do it. It's not allowing me. A presentation that was given recently at the Village of Estero Council. Here we go. All right, it's not allowing me to share my screen for some reason. Here we go.
We did get it to work earlier in a test.
Here we go. Can you see it?
Yeah, it takes a little while, we found out with Angela.
Perfect. Okay, so this presentation that I'm showing you is very, very technical. I am not an engineer, I am not a planner, and I am not a construction expert. So some of what you're going to see is going to be far beyond my ability to explain in detail, but it will certainly give you an overview of what we are planning. Understand that when our staff, I wasn't there, but when our staff gave this presentation to the Planning and Zoning Board for the Village of Estero, there were some concerns about sort of the style of the building because it does not meet the Estero aesthetic requirements. But you know, we have to approach this with an understanding that we have a very limited budget. And we cannot build something in Estero that we don't build in other parts of the county. So we really do have like a standard building that we put in place, and anything extra would just not be permissible in the budget. You know, I do live in Estero and I am elected out of Estero, but I represent every student in every school and every teacher and every individual in the entire county. And so equity is super important. And making sure that we're building quality, safe buildings everywhere in the county is important. So you can see that we're calling the school now Quadruple A. It used to be known as the Elementary School K and Middle School NN, but we have combined that to be the Quadruple A school. This is what the plans look like at this point, and I'm going to go through a couple more slides so you can see the areas that I think are of more interest to you all, which is right here. You can see Three Oaks Parkway, where the entrance to the school will be, and we will be making some intersection improvements there, and I'll go into some more detail about that in just a minute.
Chris, we
Yes.
can't, my screen is blank. We don't see the slides.
Tell me when you can see it.
I got nothing yet. Here we go. Okay.
Perfect. All right, did you see the entrance one?
No.
And now it's not letting me advance slides. Well, I'm sorry, I've never had this issue before with Zoom. It's rather odd that it's not letting me advance slides. Let me try one more time.
Maybe they're digging up Corkscrew Road, and there we go.
Okay, I'm not going to go full screen. You guys are going to unfortunately have to look at it on a smaller screen, and hopefully this will work better. So you can see here that Three Oaks Parkway is on my left, and the intersection improvement will take place there. And I'll get into a little bit more detail on that in just a minute. Can you see the new screen, Mark?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
very good. So this is how the parent pickup line is going to work. You're going to drive in, and then you'll take a hard right-hand turn and almost make a U-turn. And that parent pickup line, or the parent stacking as it is called on this screen, will go all the way around. And in the beginning there are 3 lines for parent stacking, and that goes down to 2 lines as it goes out in front of the school. In addition to that, you could go straight in, and that would be for faculty parking, for volunteer parking, or for anybody that has to enter the school. You would go straight in and park in that parking lot right there. But otherwise, the parent stacking goes around. Are you following what I have up there so far?
Yes.
Excellent. And then you can see there in the sort of the gold color is the bus loop. So buses will enter the property and go left and drop children off on that side of the building.
Chris, what are the hours for this? Because I thought some of the residents were a little concerned. Isn't it like 8 to 3 or something?
Correct. We have it at the very tail end of morning rush hour and at the very beginning of afternoon rush hour. We tried to make the times, we do have a certain number of instructional minute requirements. We have to have kids in schools for a certain period of time each day. So to accommodate those requirements, as well as minimize traffic impacts to the greatest extent possible, we will be having around an 8:30 to 3 day. And you can see on this slide where we talk about the improvements that we'll be making for traffic. We will be having a traffic signal out there, crosswalks in all directions, and the turning lanes. We will have turning lanes as long as possible. And the goal here is to stack all cars off of Three Oaks Parkway. We do not want to use the turning lane as part of the stacking. We want to get all of those cars off of Three Oaks Parkway. Again, trying to be good neighbors, trying to make sure that we are minimizing traffic impacts as much as possible. Now, here you can see what we're planning to do for the sort of landscaping buffer on the side of Copper Oaks, where the bus loop is, the kinds of foliage or planting we'll be putting over there. And this is what it would look like if you were looking at Copper Oaks. And the reason why, I'm going to go back, it's not a complete buffer. You can see through those trees, and that is required by the various laws that you see in front of you. I'm not going to read them to you, but there's a lot of them there, a lot of different requirements that we have to meet. And when you look at the 4th bullet there, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School Public Safety Commission report, that's what a lot of people think about when they think about safety and security in our schools, because there was a shooting on the East Coast and a lot of children died and staff died, and it was terrifying. But that's not our only concern. Think about the child who is in the middle of a custody battle between mom and dad, and mom has custody of the children and dad is not allowed to see them. And dad finds out that his son goes to the quadruple A school on Three Oaks, and he hides in the bushes so that he can kidnap the child. I know that sounds probably beyond your ability to imagine as you sit on this committee, but it is a reality that we face. And so it's not just about the active shooter on campus. There are a lot of different safety and security measures that we have to take into consideration. And when we create a buffer like the one you see here, it makes it impossible for anyone to hide in the foliage and potentially do harm to any of our kids or any of our staff. So that's why we have to have a more sparse buffer than the kind of a buffer that you might be looking for. Here you can see that our Director of Safety and Security has approved the buffer, as have Carmine Marcino, our sheriff. They both looked at the plans and determined that from a safety and security perspective, these buffers are sufficient and they do meet the laws and rules that are necessary for us to follow. This is just sort of an aerial view of what the school will look like. We'll get into a little bit more detail in a minute. This is one of the entrances, the main entrance. If you're going to be walking into the school, parking your car, this is what it will look like. Another angle. This is where the gymnasium would be. Another view of the gym. This is what it will look like from I-75. Yet another aerial view of the school. You can see it's set back really, really far from the street. So although we're not meeting all of the aesthetic requirements of the kinds of buildings that the Village of Estero likes to see built in Estero, it is set far, far, far back from the street, and it will not really be viewable from the street. This is the kind of sign we're looking at putting out front. And then I wanted to show you a video of a fly-through that we have created. Right now I'm showing you my calendar, unfortunately.
Now we're still seeing the slide that says fly through.
Okay. Okay, let me share something else on my screen here.
That's different.
What's that?
It's kind of, the letters kind of go sideways now a little bit. One of the things that I noticed on Bonita Springs Middle is it looks like they moved the fence back a little bit and then they put beautiful landscaping up front. Is that something we're thinking about for this school?
Yes, we're working very, very closely with the village to make sure that we're meeting their requirements and their desires to the greatest extent possible. Again, within the standard budget that we are allotted for schools.
Yes, okay.
This is sort of a computer generated fly-through of what the property will look like. Can you all see this?
It's moving, here we go, yes.
There's no sound, but it gives you a good sense of really what it's gonna look like.
Right.
See on the right there, you take that hard right to go into the parent drop-off line.
Right. I'm kind of chuckling with the name on the sign, you know, quadruple edge.
Yes.
Just, okay.
Again, the ECCL will have a seat at that table, and you guys will have a voice in what this school is named.
You think Mark Nowitzki is too long?
You're not allowed to name schools after any living person.
Oh,
I know, I'm sorry.
yeah. Don't tell my wife that, okay? Yeah, it's got the colors of the, you know, the Mediterranean style. So, you know, it looks really nice.
I think it's a beautiful school. I think it's a school that this entire community can take great pride in. And I think it's going to be really, really good for the community. And when the fly-through is over, I'll talk to you a little bit about what we've got going on with the Village of Estero for use of the property.
Thank you.
So those courts and some of the fields will be available to Village of Estero residents through an agreement that we will make with the Village of Estero.
Yes, that was just on the, yeah,
Tuesday
that
night
was,
they had on that.
yeah, they were just on the agenda for I guess, the architectural contract to figure out kind of how to do that. So,
Correct. All right, so it's starting to get a little bit repetitive now. I'll stop sharing, but that's a general feel visually for what it's going to look like. And they did have a meeting on Tuesday night to talk about co-use of facilities. It's my understanding that we're looking into having here in the village of Estero, not the school district of Lee County, but the village of Estero is looking for sort of a comprehensive recreational plan for the village. And this school will certainly be part of that. We are looking at entering into an agreement with the village of Estero where additional fields, those above and beyond what would be required for our students at that school, additional fields to be built and existing fields that the district installs, plus the additional fields that will be paid for by the village of Estero, will be available to village of Estero residents when school is not in session. So that could ultimately lead to sports tourism here in the village of Estero. It could lead to agreements for use of other fields at other schools in the village of Estero. If we could get, let's say, 8 fields together, you could host a really good soccer tournament on a weekend. And the other thing I'll tell you is that the person who's the planner on this project, her name is Kathy Ebaugh. Kathy loves projects like this one, because this isn't just about building a school. This is about trying to bring a community together. I remember when my kids were littles, we would go to, we lived in upstate New York. We would go to the local elementary school on a Saturday morning, and all the little kids were there playing soccer, and the moms and dads got to hang out while the kids got to play soccer, and they had their snacks at halftime. And it was really a community event that brought everybody together. And that's what we envision in terms of our partnership with the village of Estero for this property. We want to make sure that it's something that not just the students and the parents enjoy, but everybody in the village of Estero gets a chance to really take part in what's going on at that school. So that's really the bulk of my presentation. Does anybody have any questions?
yes, we've got a couple, but one question is, why are we building a new school when we still have modular classrooms in the east? And Chris, you and I have talked about this a couple of times. So can you repeat what you've said in the past on where we're going with modular classrooms?
For sure. Yeah, we've got a plan to get rid of the portables, as I call them.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Most of the portables in the school district of Lee County in the next 5 years. We purchased our portables. Most of the portables that we have on sites, on school sites in Lee County, are purchased portables. So the state of Florida looks at those purchased portables as permanent seats. So when we're looking at our fish capacity, which is essentially how many students can you fit in a building, the state of Florida looks at those purchased portable seats as permanent seats. When we look to build a school anywhere in the state of Florida, you have to prove a need. You can't project out into the future and say, we expect 1,500 new students to move to the village of Estero in the next 5 years, so we want to build a school to accommodate that. You have to prove that the need exists today. And we have proven that the need exists today here in the village of Estero. Pine Woods Elementary School, Three Oaks Elementary School, and Three Oaks Middle School are at a combined 117% capacity. So the need for this school exists right now. And thanks to the half-penny sales tax and all of the voters that supported our kids and our staff in passing that half-penny sales tax, we have the money to build as opposed to purchasing new portables.
Okay, one other question on the, you kind of stole some of my thunder on the using the fields for the village of Estero, because we have trying to establish a committee on sports tourism. You're absolutely right. Could we do football, soccer, lacrosse, field hockey, all kinds of things? and we would have to have an agreement with the village, the school district, the Estero Rec Center, and other things. So, you know, and it drives money in the economy, which is community and economic development, because they have to stay in a hotel, they have to eat someplace. So it's good things. We have another question on both traffic, which I'll get to in a minute, and then are you planning to reduce the size of the back retention pond in order to accommodate the additional fields? And I think the answer is no on that.
No, I don't think we have. I don't think we are. I think there are other areas on the site that will accommodate those additional fields. And again, the Village of Estero has hired their own engineer, and they are working, of course, with the district, but it will really be up to the Village of Estero to determine where that field will go and how it's funded.
Right. All right. So there's still a concern with traffic on Corkscrew and Three Oaks. And one of my questions I asked to David Willems, the Village Public Works Director, is they're going west out of the school, turning right going north. Is there going to be an acceleration, deceleration lane for the school and the post office? And David said no, because Lee County doesn't allow that. So there is going to be some learning curve as people come out of the school turning right. They have to watch for people turning right into the post office.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, think about the beginning of a school year. No matter what school you go to anywhere in Lee County, you're going to see tremendous backups for that first week or so when school is in session. But once parents get used to it and staff sort of trains the parents in the parent pickup line and parent drop-off line how to go about doing it, the traffic impacts are minimal. There will be traffic impacts. There is no doubt about the fact we're building a school that will initially house around 1,600 students. That means buses, that means parents going in and out, that means staff going in and out. There will be traffic impacts, but on the upside, we're going to have a brand new school. And so, you know, you have to sort of weigh and measure the negative traffic impacts against the incredible positive impact of having a brand new school here to accommodate our kids, and understanding we're doing everything we can to minimize the traffic to the greatest extent possible. And I do see a question in here about Corkscrew Road, and I have to tell you, I can't answer that question. I've been more focused in my conversations with staff in preparation for today on Three Oaks, but I can certainly ask that question, Mark, and send you whatever answer I receive.
Okay, yeah, we'll add that to the minutes or the notes when we type it up. How about a sound barrier along I-75? I'm sure the school is going to be quiet enough because of the current building standards, but is there any need for a sound barrier for the sports fields or anything back there?
I've not heard of anything about a sound barrier. And again, we have to be careful about the safety and security and making sure that we can view the entire perimeter of the property freely without any obstructions. So I've not heard that come up in conversation up to this point.
Okay. Do you know if they're going to change the crossing at Three Oaks and Corkscrew on the east side?
I do not know, but again, I can definitely get answers to those questions and send them to you, Mark.
Okay. All right. So that's how about that? Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's all about traffic. Okay. So any other questions for Chris?
So I want to mention again, we're building the school initially for around 1,600 students. And there will be an area on campus for us to build an addition when that becomes necessary at some point in the future. We are currently building the cafeteria, the gymnasium, and the media center to accommodate the maximum of around 2,300 students ultimately. So those common areas will be built for a larger student body, but in the beginning we'll only have around 1,600 seats, which I think is, and I'm sure you'll all agree, is efficient. You can't go in and sort of make the media center bigger at some point in the future. All of that being said, we're also planning to increase the car stacking at some point in the future when we have more students on that campus. So the future expansion is part of today's plans, making sure that we can easily expand not just the number of student seats, but the capacity for car stacking on the campus.
All right, one last question there. What are the top 3 issues facing the school board beyond the hiring of a new superintendent?
Well, COVID is pretty huge right now, obviously. Staffing issues associated with COVID when we have teachers or food service workers or bus drivers who come in contact with someone who's been diagnosed with COVID, they do have to quarantine. Students up until, I want to say 2 days ago, had to quarantine as well. Now their parents are given the choice as to whether they quarantine. So manning our buildings has been a huge, huge issue for us, making sure that we have enough teachers in the classrooms, bus drivers on the buses, food service workers in the cafeterias. With so many people out quarantining and out sick, that has been a tremendous challenge. And of course, the academic side of that is as students are out sick or out quarantining, it's much, much more difficult for them to learn without interruption in their instruction. You know, it's always better for a student to walk into class on day 1 and have the same teacher all the way through to the end of the year. But if that teacher has to quarantine for a 10-day period of time, 2 or 3 times throughout the school year, that's a tremendous interruption. In addition to that, you might have the student in that class that has to quarantine for a couple times or 3 times throughout the year, which is another interruption. So focusing on helping kids overcome that through the use of technology. We do have Google Classroom, which allows students and parents, students to continue learning and parents to stay on top of their students' learning while they are out. And in addition, we have what's called Connect with Lee, which is a Zoom tutoring service. So if a student is home quarantined for 10 days, and they're getting their assignments from their math class, but there are some concepts that they just are struggling to understand, they can log on to Connect with Lee, and we have certified teachers and or district staff that are manning those Zoom rooms in order to provide that tutoring to students. So that is a really big issue. And really, I feel like everything, all of the major issues that we're dealing with right now flow from COVID. You know, we do have an incredibly high rate of ESL students or students that speak English as a second language, and interruptions in their learning makes it even more difficult for them to get up to speed, not just in the English language, but continue with the curriculum that they need to master in order to be able to progress to the next grade. And then those are 2 challenges. I'm sort of drawing a blank on a 3rd challenge right now.
Well, let me interrupt for a second too, and since Jim's not here, I can do that. I was shocked to see that after English and Spanish, the next non-English as a first language was Haitian Creole.
Yes.
I was kind of surprised to see that we've got that big, and I got to believe there's an issue getting people that are bilingual with that, teachers and stuff. So I got to believe that's a bigger challenge than I ever thought.
It is 100%. And, you know, we also have a huge influx of students from Guatemala where the formal education system goes through grade 3. And Mark, I think you and I have talked about this before. So if you have a 14-year-old that moves here from Guatemala, you can't put them in 4th grade. So they go to high school. And the biggest challenge that those principals are facing is getting them out of the bathroom because they've never seen running water before. So they go into the bathroom and they turn the water faucet on and they turn it off and they flush the toilet, and they're fascinated by you know, plumbing. Not bad people, not bad kids, not unable to learn, just culturally, it is such a huge difference for them. And they speak Spanish with a Mayan dialect. We don't have teachers that speak Spanish with a Mayan dialect. So we're constantly working on ways to make the transition easier for those students.
All right. Thanks, Chris.
You're
We'll
welcome.
let you off the hot seat for a while now.
Thank you. I appreciate the time, Mark.
All right, one of these times we're going to bring you in too, and we're going to talk about the advisory committees, you know, the next time we have you on. So people, I don't think quite understand how we input, you know, you answer your emails, and I know you get 150 a day, but you know, there are advisory committees out there that can help, and there's what, 5 or 6 of them. So we'll talk about them at another time.
Well, yeah, but we have to mention, Mark, that you are currently on our Finance Advisory Committee, which is really, I mean, I know you're not there as an ECCL member, but
Yes.
you are on the ECCL and you are on that committee. And I think you have another member of your board, Chris Simino, who is on the Independent Sales Tax Oversight Committee. So
Yes.
you've already got a couple of ECCL connections on those committees, and I'll come back and talk about those in more detail in the future.
Okay, thanks. And I finally let Alan in. So Alan Bowditch, go ahead, wave to everybody. Our next speaker is Angela Fisher from Junior Achievement. She brings a wealth of business leadership experience, more than 3 years, and has successfully increased student reach by over 36%. She graduated from the University of Louisville. Those are Cardinals, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And is also a graduate of, okay, sorry. Combination of experience, education, and knowledge complements the objectives of Junior Achievement of Southwest Florida, in addition to her wide range of professional expertise. Angela has a passion for providing opportunities for youth and building a better community. Go ahead, Angela, it's all yours.
Great. Thank you for having me this morning. I've been privileged to be the president and CEO of Junior Achievement for over 6 years now. And I also wanted to thank the ECCL for our partnership, and we'll talk a little bit about that later and how that affects our students in our schools and other programs. I'm going to share my screen here just briefly. See if I can.
We'll see how it works this time.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go.
Okay. So I don't think it did full screen, but that's okay. That's what I tried for. I really just wanted to start off by giving just a high level, and just in case we have some folks on that aren't aware of what Junior Achievement is. Our purpose is to inspire and prepare young people to succeed. And we're really focused on, from a community-wise perspective, youth development, education development, and economic development. Our focus is our curriculum, which is based on work and career readiness, financial literacy, and entrepreneurship. We provide programs that are curriculum based via volunteers and mentors, and for K through 12 programs for students. And those programs are provided in our schools, our after school programs, summer programs, and with special at risk groups. So really wanted to look at kind of this last year and kind of what I feel like is the roller coaster we've been on, and then, you know, talk about that and how it has affected all of us, our students, volunteers to go in the classroom. This last school year, I feel like we all were on just a roller coaster. Sometimes we felt like, you know, we were headed straight down or running, you know, without a track. And not only have we all felt that as, you know, adults in our business and personal life, our students have you know, done the same thing. So I think we need to be very, you know, mindful of, you know, of that and what they're going through and how important it is. And this is what really JA helps do too, is we talked about providing these programs that really teach students about how to manage their money, develop in-demand job skills, understand entrepreneurship, get a clear vision of what success is for them. But the connection with our community members and leaders of going into these schools to sharing real life experiences and making a connection is invaluable during our, what we would call normal school year, let alone during a time that we're in the middle of a global pandemic. So during our last school year, we were still able to provide programs in classroom after school. We provided them virtually to our students. So we still had a larger impact than we've had in our history, and double the amount of curriculum hours. So I just want to say we're here. We've been working during this COVID time to be a virtual resource for both our schools, our parents, students in and out of the classroom from the time that COVID hit and our students got sent home. This year, this school year, we're still on that roller coaster. Many of us thought by now that, we would be back to some sort of normal pre-COVID, some sort of that. We're not. So I have this next kind of, picture on here to reflect kind of where we're at. We're still on the roller coaster, want to or not. Some of us are dealing with this in different ways. But in the end of all, the reason why junior achievement's here and all of us here in our community is to see our students prosper, be happy, and do well in our community. So hence the little slide on the picture of the students, on the roller coaster being happy. That's our end goal. Support our students, support our community. So in this school year, we got ready, set, go. We thought we were going to be back in the classrooms, as many thought, and the district thought as well, probably pre us having a spike in our numbers. And this picture here reflects JA programs. The first one would be in classroom programs virtually, because people have asked us, how do you do a virtual program with students where we can still connect our students to people in our community to learn. So that first picture is at Three Oaks Middle, or is that, showing students, they have their Chromebooks out and the volunteer is zoomed in and they can see that volunteer on there. And they're still working through the curriculum and the interactive, we call games, but they're really support of the curriculum that we're teaching. And then the second picture is in a high school program where we have the volunteer zoomed in on a whiteboard who is talking about career. It's one of our career speaker series where this volunteer is talking about their career in medical and what they do. So students still getting to have that contact, which we all know is so important, with our community and the role models, and really helping them bring to life that work and school balance, that school makes sense. It does relate to real life and work, So next I wanted to talk about our education strategy and really highlight in Lee County, JA serves Lee County, Collier County, and Charlotte County. And in Lee County, we partnered with, of course, the school district and the ECCL to provide what we call that 258 Graduate Initiative. And what that means is, with the help of the ECCL and the volunteers that they brought in our own local community together, every second grader, every fifth grader, every eighth grader, and every high school student was provided a JA program around work career readiness and financial literacy. And it's so powerful for students to connect directly with individuals right from their own community. I taught myself at Three Oaks Elementary, and I live right around the corner from that. And it was so cute. One of the students said to me, I hope I see you soon at the grocery store. So it's really so important for them to connect with our community, to learn. And JA is really here to be a solution provider. We work closely with Chris, the school district, and other staff there. And they need our support, and we need your support as volunteers coming in and sharing your, great wealth of experience. So we have that 5-8 Graduate Initiative now that we've worked with the school district to start for every school in Lee County. So there'll be a rollout in that, and we will be a little probably delayed in that from the sense of COVID, but we will still be providing the programs and doing virtual until we can get back in the program, so we can get back in the classroom when it's safe for everyone, because that's, our biggest concern.
So Angela, we've had over 80 volunteers in that program, and really a good bunch of people. Jim Shields was pushing that, did a great job, and then Amy and Mike are the two people responsible for that. So if anybody wants to volunteer or work with us on that, go ahead and send a note to the ECCL email site, and we can get you on that when we get back in the classroom. Like Angela said, I've taught at Bonita Middle, Estero High School, and Dunbar, and a few others. And it's you get more out of it, I think, than the kids do. So not to steal your thunder, but I miss working with the kids.
No, we always appreciate, volunteers sharing their experience. And it really is. We've instituted a new program, which I feel like I call it our crown jewel, and that's called JA Inspire. And our first year was supposed to have been last school year. And this was a program that's designed for every 8th grader. Can you imagine that? Every 8th grader in Lee County. Of course, we're going to do Collier and Charlotte as well, but every 8th grader in Lee County would participate in this program, and it would have approximately 13 curriculum hours. Not only that, it would have apps and other JA Connect programs that they could access out of school to still study and learn and research about careers. And then it would culminate with what we were calling an interactive job expo and career expo exploration, where we would have all the main businesses and industry leaders come and have a on-site thing for students to actually, take blood pressures, maybe lay brick, so just a combination of whatever they want to do. If they want to go right to work, a technical school or college, to think about those careers, and an interactive activity for them to think about that. COVID put a stop on that this last year for the actual in-person experience, but the curriculum was provided to all 8th graders in Lee County and Collier County. It was received well. This year, we had hoped to take that program live again, meaning not only have the curriculum, but have that big in-person expo. Because the number of COVID spiking, we're putting that again off till virtual. But we will be taking this. So anyone who would like to get involved, we have that in a career speaker series to share your experiences with our students and connect. We would, love to connect with you to do that. Because not to kind of steal the villages thing on this, but it does take a village, to raise a child. And if we want the best community possible, we all need to give of ourselves, and our time, and to give back to our students, and they can learn from it. Just to look at our performance, so our big goal is to provide every student JA programs. And we're so excited to now say, let's do something in the 5th grade, 8th grade, and high school and in between. And this just shows our growth and the impact we want to make and what our goal is for this year. You'll notice in 2019-20, we had that dip to 10,000. We were projected to be at 13,000, but with the schools closing in March and all our not-for-profit partners closing, we didn't get to provide those last programs. Instead, what we did was put out online resources available to anybody who wanted to use them. So that's kind of really, where we're at with this. I will tell you that, let's kind of go back to this part, that, COVID has caused a change, and still more than ever, our students need a connection to the communities and role models. And they need regular social interaction with their peers, with students, with teachers and mentors. And it really may have a long-term impact on our students' educational achievement and overall well-being. And this last year, in a survey conducted by JAUSA, 91% of teens said they need additional support this year. And more specifically, 34% said they need emotional support from teachers, parents, counselors, and other caring adults to support their mental health well-being. So I would encourage all of you, if you haven't already, and the ECCL whole group has been awesome to do this, really connect, volunteer. Everyone has something important to share and that our students can learn from. And you really just don't know the impact that you can make on one student's life. So I would encourage you to volunteer and get involved. Just to let you know, we have a volunteer kickoff coming in November 4th at Grandeza, and we'll share this, widely. We're going to be doing that JA Virtual Inspire event in March 22 for the students. And then we'll have our normal JA Business Hall of Fame, April 19th in person, where we will be honoring local businessmen and women. We haven't chosen the honorees yet, but I hope, to see everyone there. I'd like to thank everyone for what you do for the community, whether it's related to volunteering with students, or not, or other things. So thank you. And if you'd like to get involved with inspiring and preparing and being a solution provider for our area youth, please just contact us at JA.
Angela, one of the other things that we do with the village, or I'm sorry, with ECCL and JA is we never put you in there all by yourself in a classroom. We usually tag team the first couple of times till you get comfortable, and you kind of get to pick which grade you like. I think Gary likes the younger kids. I've found that 5th grade, I kind of like the 8th grade, and I really like the 11th graders. The 12th grade wasn't as much fun, but the 11th graders were really good. So, you get to pick 2, 5, 8, 11, whichever and if you, pick one grade and it doesn't quite work, then you go on to the next one. So, it's interesting too. You're right. The interaction and I was shocked at some of the ethnic diversity in the levels, because I've taught kind of all the way through, from the gifted to the struggling, I guess is the best word. So yeah, I really miss them, and I really find that rewarding. So it's worth getting out of bed in the morning. And some of the classes I've taught were at 7:05, so my wife won't get out of bed with me, but yeah, we go. So yes, thank you very much. This was good information.
We appreciate it.
Any other questions? Okay. Okay, yeah, we'll get back to that. Okay, so our next speaker is Alan Bowditch. He's going to talk about the history of the ECCL book. Alan, you're up.
Okay, well, good morning, everyone, and thank you again for the contributions that we've had this morning from Chris and Angela. Very, very important. The objective behind preparing the history of the ECCL, which has actually been formed into a book, came about really probably around last year. Jim Shields talked to me about this particular potential project. He felt that it was extremely important to try to recognize all the contributions that had been made by what I might call the unsung heroes here in Estero. All those people who had volunteered over the last 20 years with the ECCL and other organizations to try to make Estero the wonderful place that we have today. Equally, time marches on, and I think we both felt that, if we didn't embark upon this project in a timely way, a lot of the information that has obviously been gathered and people have in their own minds would have been lost. And that really would have been something of a travesty. People, I think, always like to know a little bit about the history of where they are and what's gone on in the past, particularly, of course, those who are new to the area. But equally, I've lived in Estero myself for 17 years, and in preparing the information that we have in the book, I have to say there were numerous occasions which surprised me, which intrigued me, and which really I found most interesting. So, having actually decided that we would do this, it has taken about 9 months to get to the finished article. We actually interviewed 27 people, which included some who had worked in the ECCL, but many who were consultants, people who now reside on the planning and zoning board of the Estero village, some councillors, some ex-mayors, and also people who have both currently and in the past sat on the Lee County Commissioners. So it was a really, really impressive and wide array of people that we spoke to. That amounted to something like 27 plus hours of interviews, and all of that information had to be transcribed, which took even upwards of about 200 hours. So that information, coupled with information that we had from the Estero Historical Society, our own ECCL archives, and of course the many press articles that were written over the course of time, all needed to be blended together to produce what we came up with. But it was important, I think, not to just dwell on the past. I think everybody likes to know what might happen in the future. And so we did pay particular attention in the book to looking forward, not just backwards. So we've explained what the ECCL would like to try to do over the coming years, and in speaking to those in authority and in government here in Estero, what aspects they will be looking at to develop over the years ahead. And there's really a great deal, I think, that needs to be done as we move forward. So that's kind of very much the background to this. We've been thoughtful to provide a complimentary book to those people that have obviously been able to provide the information and help us with what we've done. And just recently, the ECCL board and the executive management team decided that it would also be very important to provide a complimentary book to the member organizations and companies that support the ECCL on an annual basis. But I have to say, this is just not about the ECCL trying to pat itself on the back at all. Over the course of time, it's actually been very much a combined approach. It's been necessary, of course, for those who have volunteered in the past to have help from the county commissioners, from consultants, from lawyers and other organizations involved in the environment and in water quality. So this is not, as I say, just something that we are only suggesting the ECCL has been responsible for. Because it's been a team effort, that's also how we see things in the future. No group can do things entirely on their own. They have to have help and support to make things work properly and for the good of the community. And so that's also part of our pattern for the future. The book now is available to be purchased. We managed to set up with Shopify a system where people can go online and, if they wish, order the book directly from the publisher whom we chose to print this book, which is Lulu. The website that you can go on, I'll mention to you in a moment. The book is not something that the ECCL wishes to make a profit on at all. So the cost of the book covers the printing, the dispatch, some charges to Shopify for allowing the people to go online and to purchase the book. So the soft copy or paperback copy works out at just under $15, and a hard copy is available, which would work out at just under $25. But as I say, those charges are all related to what I've explained. So should you wish to go and look into this and possibly purchase one for yourself, if you go to the website https://, which is the normal way, of course, of looking at email links, and then type in lowercase shop.esterotoday.com. So shop.esterotoday.com would be the way to do it. We do have that information actually on our own website already. So if you haven't written anything down while I've spoken, just please go to the Estero Today website and you will be able to be directed to that particular place where you might be able to then log on if you're interested to purchase it. So we hope to get the complimentary book out to all of the members over the next few weeks, and we'll be making arrangements for that in due course. So that's where we are at the moment. I think it was certainly a labor of love on my part and many others who contributed to this, And I do hope those of you who read it do have a lot of interest and a lot of pleasure from acknowledging the very many people who did so much to make where we are today such a lovely place to live. Thank you.
Thanks, Alan. Our next speaker is Gary Israel. He's the publisher of Estero Life magazine and an avid supporter of Estero. Gary's involved in everything. Anywhere you go, there's Gary. So we even have seats near each other at the FGCU men's basketball game. So great guy. Gary, go ahead.
Thank you, Mark. For giving me the time to speak to your members. I also want to thank the ECCL for their wonderful support of our efforts at Estero Life magazine. And before I actually begin, I want to bring up 2 points. First of all, I hope you all heard Chris and Angela say the phrase, bringing the community together, because that has been part of the mission of Estero Life magazine to help pull our community together from the very beginning. Second thing I'd like to bring out is that I have timed my remarks, and I am not using my full complement of time. So everybody will stand and applaud probably about that as we go forward. If you can think, if you were living in Estero 11 years ago, think back for a moment how different things were just a little over a decade ago. It's amazing. Well, that's how long Estero Life magazine has been publishing. We are the first, and to this day, the only lifestyle magazine both serving and originating from the village of Estero. We launched Estero Lifestyle magazine in September 2010 at the bottom of the recession. Anyone remember what that was like at that time? In September 2016, I acquired the magazine and changed the name to Estero Life magazine, and brought the entire production process over to Lee County, and contributing nearly $250,000 in economic activity just by ourselves, not to mention the revenue our advertisers are gaining as our Estero residents support their business. So this issue, turn it up so you can see it, September is actually our 11th and 5th anniversaries. Our mission was and is to bring Estero's people, places, and events together to give readers a full appreciation of the beauty, excitement, and the variety of activities and opportunities that combine to create our distinct and wonderful lifestyle. The goal has always been to take this beautiful community with so many disconnected gated communities and bring them all together, creating a sense of community. And that's exactly what has happened, and hence our incorporation and beyond. And that is the major reason that the village government started more than 4 years ago, running a page in the magazine called Village Connection to communicate with our residents. Some of you might be aware that over the summer, sorry, their lawn people are outside. That over the summer, we have worked to convert our distribution from a direct mail process to what the post office calls every door direct mail, EDDM, to a subscription-based model. We have done this for several reasons, and that is why I asked Jim Gilmartin for a few minutes to explain, as whenever there's a change, it is inevitable to have some degree of confusion. The first reason is that despite our tireless efforts to reach every household in Estero, simply relying on advertising to pay for the layout, design, printing, and postage to send out more than 15,000 copies a month never was quite enough to reach everyone. Even at 15,000 copies, we were still short an unbelievable more than 8,000 households. The village told me when they sent out the packages of masks in January, they sent out more than 23,000 households. Then came the recent explosive growth east on Corkscrew, where there will eventually be an additional 13,000 plus homes. Sorry, Mark. It became apparent that our goal to reach everyone was never going to happen. And the one thing standing in the way was the cost of postage. Even at the every door direct mail rate of just 19 to 21 cents per copy of the magazine, we were spending more than $30,000 a year just on postage. Friends, $30,000 will print a lot of magazines. The last major issue was our snowbirds. For 11 years,
Your screen is half blocked.
what's that?
Your screen is half
Oh,
blocked.
sorry.
Okay.
For 11 years, every spring as they worked their way back north, more than 8,500 households would disconnect from our community until they returned back to Estero. So our printer, who has 41 years of experience in this industry, told us that we were never going to reach our goal of everyone receiving a magazine if we continued on our current path. Just what you want to hear, right? So in our July and August issues, we made great efforts to explain what and why we were making the changes, and we began our first subscription issue with the current September issue. We were having reasonable, expected success as we did this purposely over the summer months when we had the fewest people in town. It continues to grow consistently every day. We are proud that many in the leadership of your organization have already subscribed. Jim has, Mark, Joe, Jim, Shields, Terry, Allen, a number of you. 100% of the current and past village council members have subscribed, and the majority of the Estero Chamber Board have also subscribed. In fact, we're getting amazing support and encouragement from every area of the village, including our advertising partners. They're so excited that we have taken on the challenge to help them reach the new growth here in Estero. The community and association managers have also been helping by sending out information to their residents about our opportunity, because they too see this as added value to living in their communities. And leaders within many of our communities are also joining in, such as Mayor Katie in Breckenridge, Barry Friedman in Divines, Marilyn Edwards in Spring Run, and Jim Shields in Grandesa, just to mention a few. So what is the cost? A whopping $19.95 a year, $1.66 an issue. The magazine is still free. Let me say that again. The magazine is still free. The subscription is designed to simply cover most of the postage. We were already behind as the post office, after we announced this, just raised the first class postage stamp from 44 to 58 cents. But we'll deal with that later. But our rate is much more than a 1 ounce letter, as the magazine currently weighs in at 4 ounces. So what are the benefits? Residents still have the opportunity to remain connected to the community, the convenience of home delivery. Snowbirds are now able to forward the magazine back and forth between Estero and their northern residences, no longer disconnecting. And we will be reaching out with an e-newsletter each month, and to offer other opportunities, contests, and special programs. We are calling all this becoming an Estero insider. I would like to invite you all to take our message back to your own communities to give your residents the opportunity to join in. I'm more than willing to assist you in any way. I have a PDF explaining what and why we are making the change that is suitable to add to your electronic community newsletters. Just send me an email requesting it. I can meet any of you with a handful of magazines to take back to your communities, especially those communities that weren't part of our original delivery area. Just reach out and let me know what I can do. My email address is gary@sterolifemagazine.com, and my phone number is 239-287-4246. Anyone, anywhere can subscribe to Estero Life magazine by going to our website. The link is esterolifemagazine.com/subscribe. In fact, we already have someone in Canada who's already subscribed, thinking they're a snowbird, that they'll forward their mail down here when they come back to Estero. In fact, anyone who subscribes by the end of this weekend, Sunday night, will be in time to receive the October 2021 issue. And I'm open for any questions.
I don't see any.
Okay.
Gary, we truly appreciate everything the Estero Life magazine does for the community and help us connect. And that's the biggie. How do we get people outside our gated communities and involved in the schools, education, learning, the whole bit. So thanks for everything you do, and thanks for coming on board today.
My pleasure.
Okay, I get to speak for a couple minutes now. You know, Chris kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier, stole a little bit of my thunder about some of the committees and some of the things we're working on. And one of the committees is sports tourism. We don't have anybody signed up for that particular committee yet, but we believe this is a big deal. And I've talked to a couple of people and we hope to get more volunteers. So what we're doing, instead of saying, hey, do you want to join the environmental committee or the environmental council, excuse me, we're trying to break that into bites and pieces. I'm at the point in my life where I want to know what I'm volunteering for and how much of my time it's going to take. So we've got the ECCL Safety Council Connectivity and Mobility Committee, you know, rails to trails. How do we get from the schools to the rec center, to the 65 acres, to Lee Health? You know, how do we do all that safely? Okay, and the village is working on that. We've got an environmental health committee we're trying to get. You know, we know we've got some issues with the Estero River. How do we clean that up and how do we let people enjoy it and still stay healthy? Sports tourism we talked about. We need some more people on the environmental septic to sewer committee. This is going to be a big deal. It's a $40 million project probably over the next 10 years. Alan needs help on his communications committee. John needs some help on the financial side and membership committee. So, you know, and again, you can decide how much time you want to work on these things. And so we're writing position descriptions, and you've seen some of those in the emails. So it's more specific than just generic communication. You know, maybe on the communication committees, it could be just writing the Greater Estero Community Report or editing that. We do a lot of writing lately, even though we're an advocacy agency, we do a lot of writing because you got to inform before you can advocate. So, yeah, so as you see those position descriptions, as I call them, my background, come out and something looks good to you, you know, give me a call, send us an email, we can sit down and talk someplace. Thanks. Okay, John, you're up.
This will take about 10 seconds.
Okay.
Currently, we're still waiting for the approval for us to become a 501(c). However, on a day-to-day basis, our registration with the state, as far as our articles and our bylaws, now outline that we are required to operate as a 501(c)(3). The difference is waiting for the ability to be able to take tax deductions, offer tax deductions to people who donate. It does change the process to some degree. In fact, it emphasizes that we are a nonpartisan, non-political organization. Hopefully we will have this before the end of the year and we'll be able to celebrate the change. As far as the financial numbers, they're located at esterotoday.com. I publish them and show both the financial statement as far as earnings and the balance sheet. I wish to thank everybody, especially the panelists, for the information that they've given us today and thank them for their efforts and time. And Mark, congratulations. You did a good job.
Okay. Thanks, John. I've got kind of three last things here. We finally got an inroad to the Lee County Parks and Rec Advisory Committee. And she reached out to me and said, if you have any concerns, comments, or suggestions for any of the parks in Estero, let me know in the next week or so. I'm at ECCLsecretary@gmail.com. And one of the things that I believe we need is outdoor bathrooms at the Estero Rec Center. So, you know, anybody wants to send me that 5 or 6 times, you know, that's important. So we're going to give her some feedback. On Saturday, the 13th of November, we're having the Veterans Day celebration at the Village of Estero. And believe it or not, the 21st of November, I-75 and Corkscrew Road is supposed to be complete. Now, we'll see how that goes. You know, it could rain a little too much one day. But the good news, too, is the landscaping paid for by the village is supposed to happen as soon as that's done. So we could have some pretty landscaping by the Christmas time, the end of the year. So I'm excited where we're going, and I certainly appreciate everybody's time today and making my outdoor life here a little bit easier. Yes, Gary.
I would also like to mention that the Village of Estero's community tree lighting ceremony is scheduled for Saturday evening, December 4th. So we invite everybody to reach out to their individual communities and ask them to come out and support this. No promises, but we're trying to get one of our musical celebrities to actually perform at that event. So I'm not going to disclose which one, so I can't be held accountable.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Any more? Let me see if I got one more question. Okay. I'll answer Frank. Frank had a question. Okay. Well, I sure appreciate everybody's time today. Great information. This will be recorded. It'll be out on the website. We'll add the links that Alan talked about. My link, Chris's link to go check out the schools and other things. So, and Angela, one for junior achievement. So, Gary, and go ahead and send me the link so they can do that. So we can put that all together in the announcement that goes out on the website. All right. Thanks again. I sure appreciate all your time. You have a great weekend.
Happy Friday, everybody.
Hey, happy Friday.
Bye, everyone.